The concept of mystery has always been a powerful force in human interaction. It taps into one of our most primal instincts, the need to understand and make sense of the unknown. When someone doesn't reply to your message, it's tempting to fill the silence with explanations, questions, or even apologies. But what if instead you leaned into the power of mystery? What if you allowed the unknown to work in your favor? By doing so, you create a compelling dynamic that shifts the focus from them to you. This is not about manipulation, it's about mastering the subtle art of communication and influence. When you send a message, there's an unspoken contract you expect a response. This expectation, however, can become a double-edged sword. If the response doesn't come, most people panic. They begin to overthink, wondering if they said something wrong or if the other person is upset. But here's the truth: when someone doesn't reply, it often has less to do with you and more to do with their state of mind. Maybe they're busy, distracted, or unsure how to respond. In those moments, your reaction becomes more important than the initial message you sent. Instead of reacting impulsively, consider this: the silence they've given you is an opportunity. It's a blank canvas on which you can paint a narrative. Mystery thrives in this space because it allows you to maintain your composure while subtly piquing their curiosity. When you resist the urge to explain yourself or demand a reply, you communicate something powerful: that you are not desperate for their attention. This detachment alone makes you more intriguing. People are naturally drawn to those who exude confidence and self-assurance, and nothing says confidence like the ability to stay composed in the face of uncertainty. Now let's delve deeper into the mechanics of mystery. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it and the energy you bring to the interaction. A mysterious message doesn't give everything away. It offers just enough to make the other person pause and think. For example, a message like "I didn't expect this, but it's fine" is powerful because it leaves so much unsaid. What didn't you expect? Why is it fine? Are you upset, indifferent, or plotting something entirely different? The recipient is left to fill in the blanks, and in doing so, they are forced to focus on you. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. You're not over-explaining or over-analyzing. You're not giving them a reason to ignore you further. Instead, you're presenting a puzzle, one that they feel compelled to solve. This compulsion stems from a basic human need for closure. When faced with ambiguity, the mind naturally seeks to resolve it. By creating this ambiguity, you occupy their thoughts in a way that a straightforward message never could. It's important to note that mystery is not about playing games. It's about respecting your own worth and recognizing that you don't need to overextend yourself to be noticed. When you send a message that carries an air of mystery, you're essentially saying, "I value myself enough not to beg for your attention." This self-respect is magnetic. People are drawn to those who know their own value and are unafraid to stand in it. Consider the context in which you're sending the message. Timing plays a crucial role in amplifying the effect of mystery. A message sent late at night, for instance, carries a different weight than one sent during a busy afternoon. At night, when the world is quiet and distractions are minimal, your words can linger in the recipient's mind. They may find themselves rereading your message, trying to decipher its meaning, and wondering what you're thinking. This is the power of mystery. It lingers. It doesn't demand immediate attention, but it refuses to be ignored. Tone is equally important. A mysterious message should be calm, composed, and confident. It should never come across as passive-aggressive or accusatory. The goal is to intrigue, not to guilt or provoke. A tone that exudes maturity and self-assuredness will always be more effective than one that feels emotionally charged. Remember, mystery is about creating curiosity, not conflict. Another key aspect of mystery is its ability to shift the power dynamic. When you send a mysterious message, you take control of the narrative. Instead of waiting anxiously for their reply, you set the stage for the next interaction. This doesn't mean you're manipulating them. It means you're choosing to lead rather than follow. In any relationship or interaction, the person who maintains their composure and emotional balance holds the upper hand. Mystery allows you to maintain this balance effortlessly. Mystery also taps into a deeper psychological principle. People value what they can't immediately have. When your message is open-ended and thought-provoking, it becomes something they can't easily dismiss. It stands out from the sea of predictable text they might receive. It sparks curiosity, which in turn leads to engagement. They start to wonder why you're so composed, what you're thinking, and what you'll do next. And in that wondering, they are drawn closer to you. When someone doesn't reply, it's easy to feel as though the balance of power has shifted away from you. This perception often leads to impulsive reactions, messages sent in haste, explanations that weren't requested, or even silence that feels more like withdrawal than strength. However, in such moments, you have an opportunity to regain control of the narrative. Rather than seeing their lack of response as a rejection, view it as a chance to reposition yourself as the one who holds the power in the interaction. The way you respond or don't speaks volumes about your confidence, self-worth, and emotional maturity. At the heart of controlling the narrative is the principle of composure. When someone doesn't reply, your ability to remain calm and intentional sets the tone for what happens next. This composure sends a message that you are not desperate for their validation or attention. In fact, it communicates that you are someone whose presence is valuable and whose time is limited. This quiet confidence is often more compelling than any words you could say. It changes the energy of the interaction, drawing the other person toward you rather than pushing them away with urgency or neediness. Repositioning yourself doesn't mean resorting to manipulation or games. Instead, it's about taking a step back and reframing the situation. Rather than thinking, why haven't they replied, ask yourself, what energy do I want to bring to this interaction? The narrative you craft is rooted in how you perceive yourself and what you project outward. By choosing to approach the situation from a place of empowerment, you subtly but effectively shift the dynamic in your favor. The art of controlling the narrative lies in subtlety. A well-crafted response, or even the decision to delay your response, creates an impression of self-assurance. For instance, instead of following up with another message that seeks to clarify or prompt a reply, consider sending a short, thoughtful text that redirects the focus. Something like, I hope all is well on your end, just wanted to check in. No rush immediately shifts the tone. It's calm, collected, and shows that while you're thoughtful enough to follow up, you're not sitting around waiting anxiously for their response. The key is to maintain an air of detachment without seeming dismissive. Timing plays a significant role in controlling the narrative. While your instinct may be to respond quickly to any gaps in communication, sometimes the most effective move is to do the opposite. Pausing before sending your reply gives you time to consider your words and their potential impact. It also subtly communicates that you're not operating on their timeline, you have your own priorities. This doesn't mean playing hard to get, it means showing that your life is full and fulfilling, regardless of whether or not they've responded. This quiet confidence is deeply attractive as it demonstrates emotional independence. Another powerful aspect of controlling the narrative is the ability to redirect the conversation. If someone hasn't replied, your next message can subtly guide the interaction in a new direction. For example, instead of dwelling on their silence or asking why they haven't replied, you might say something like, I just remembered something that might interest you. Have you seen specific topic or event? This approach shifts the focus away from their lack of response and toward a new, engaging subject. It's a way of taking the reins without appearing pushy or overbearing. In this process, tone is everything. A message delivered with warmth and curiosity carries a far different energy than one laced with frustration or impatience. When crafting your response, imagine how you'd want to be perceived. Are you calm and self-assured? Are you someone who values your time and energy? The words you choose should reflect these qualities. By controlling your tone, you control how your message is received and ultimately how the narrative unfolds. This approach also allows you to assert your value without explicitly stating it. When you remain composed and intentional in your communication, you signal to the other person that you know your worth. People are naturally drawn to those who respect themselves and don't feel the need to chase after others for validation. This quiet strength often leaves a lasting impression, encouraging the other person to engage with you on a deeper level. It's worth noting that controlling the narrative doesn't mean dominating the conversation or overpowering the other person. Instead, it's about creating a balanced dynamic where both parties feel valued and respected. By choosing your words and actions carefully, you create a space where meaningful communication can flourish. This often involves setting boundaries not just for the other person, but for yourself. Recognizing when to engage and when to step back is a crucial part of this process. Controlling the narrative is also about understanding the psychology of attention. When someone doesn't reply, it's not necessarily because they're uninterested. They may be preoccupied, distracted, or unsure of how to respond. By remaining calm and composed, you create an environment where they feel comfortable re-engaging with you. Your energy becomes a source of stability, something they can rely on even in moments of uncertainty. Ultimately, the narrative you create is a reflection of how you see yourself. If you approach the situation with confidence and clarity, you naturally project these qualities outward. This not only influences how the other person perceives you, but also how they respond to you. By taking control of the narrative, you position yourself as someone who is not only worth replying to, but someone worth engaging with on a deeper level. Silence has a language of its own, one that is often louder and more impactful than words. In the world of communication, especially in interpersonal relationships, silence can create a space for reflection, curiosity, and even intrigue. When you choose to say less or nothing at all, you allow the other person to fill in the gaps with their own thoughts and interpretations. This is where the power of silence becomes truly evident. It forces attention, creates mystery, and invites contemplation. Silence, when used deliberately, can act as a mirror. It reflects back to the other person their own actions, thoughts, or decisions. In the context of a conversation or message exchange, if someone doesn't reply and you resist the urge to follow up immediately, your silence gives them room to think. They begin to wonder why you haven't said anything further. Are you upset? Are you indifferent? Are you simply busy with something more important? These questions naturally arise because silence disrupts the usual flow of communication. It breaks patterns and introduces an element of unpredictability, which can be deeply unsettling and captivating at the same time. This doesn't mean silence should be used as a weapon or a form of manipulation. Its power lies in its authenticity and its ability to communicate confidence. When you remain silent after not receiving a reply, you are essentially saying, I respect my own boundaries and my time enough to let this unfold on its own. This stance exudes self-assurance, which is far more compelling than any attempt to demand attention or explanation. It shows that you are in control of your emotions and not easily swayed by external circumstances. The psychological impact of silence is profound. Humans are wired to seek closure, and when communication is left open-ended, it creates a sense of unease. This unease can manifest as curiosity or even anxiety in the other person. They begin to replay the last interaction, searching for clues or trying to understand what might have gone wrong. In doing so, they are actively thinking about you even if they don't realize it. This mental engagement is a powerful form of influence, one that requires no effort on your part beyond the willingness to hold your ground and stay silent. Timing is crucial when leveraging silence. The longer you wait, the more the anticipation builds. However, it's important to strike a balance. Too much silence can come across as disinterest or detachment, while too little may not have the desired impact. Knowing when to break the silence is just as important as maintaining it. This timing often depends on the context of the interaction and your intuition about the other person's state of mind. A well-timed message after a period of silence can reignite their interest and curiosity, creating a sense of relief and eagerness to re-engage. Silence also has the unique ability to shift the focus of attention. When someone doesn't reply, it's natural to feel as though the spotlight is on you, your words, your actions, your worth. But when you choose silence, you redirect that spotlight back onto them. Suddenly, they are the ones who must grapple with the lack of response. This shift in focus changes the dynamics of the interaction, placing you in a position of quiet authority. You are no longer the one seeking answers, you are the one who is waited upon. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to create a sense of mystery. People are drawn to what they can't immediately understand or predict. By withholding a response, you become an enigma, a puzzle that they feel compelled to solve. This sense of mystery is especially potent in a world where instant communication has become the norm. When everyone else is rushing to respond, your choice to remain silent sets you apart. It signals that you are not governed by the same rules, that you have the confidence to operate on your own terms. Silence also gives you time to reflect and recalibrate. Instead of reacting impulsively, you can use this pause to consider your next move. What message do you want to send, not just with your words, but with your energy and actions? This period of reflection allows you to approach the situation with clarity and intention rather than emotion. It's a form of self-discipline that not only benefits you, but also elevates the quality of your interactions with others. In the context of relationships, silence can serve as a boundary. It communicates that you are not willing to overextend yourself or chase after someone who isn't reciprocating. This boundary is not about punishing the other person, but about preserving your own dignity and self-respect. It's a way of saying, I am here, but I will not overstay my welcome in a space where I am not invited. This kind of self-assured detachment often has the opposite effect. It draws people toward you because it highlights your independence and emotional resilience. The power of silence is amplified when combined with non-verbal cues in face-to-face interactions, but even in digital communication, its impact is undeniable. A message left unanswered creates a gap, and in that gap lies possibility. The other person's imagination begins to fill in the blanks, often projecting their own feelings and insecurities onto the situation. This projection can work in your favor as it keeps you in their thoughts without requiring any additional effort on your part. Silence also allows you to observe. When you step back from the urge to respond immediately, you gain a clearer perspective on the situation. You can assess the other person's behavior, their level of interest, and their intentions without the cloud of emotional reactivity. This observational stance empowers you to make better decisions about how to proceed, whether that means re-engaging, setting boundaries, or letting go altogether. Sometimes the most powerful way to capture someone's attention is by triggering their curiosity. Human beings are naturally curious creatures. When faced with something unexpected, unexplained, or incomplete, their minds instinctively seek answers. In the realm of communication, especially in relationships and interactions where emotions are involved, this principle becomes even more impactful. Creating curiosity in the other person can lead to a profound shift in the dynamics of the interaction, drawing them toward you with an almost magnetic force. Curiosity is often sparked by what is left unsaid. A well-crafted message that leaves room for interpretation can ignite a chain reaction of thoughts in the recipient's mind. For instance, when someone doesn't reply, sending a brief, intriguing message can stir their interest and prompt them to engage. The key lies in crafting your words in a way that avoids confrontation or desperation. Instead, your message should subtly hint at something they may want to know more about. A simple statement like, I have something interesting to share with you, or you wouldn't believe what happened today, can open a loop in their mind. They become curious, wondering what you mean, and their thoughts keep returning to you until they get an answer. The beauty of sparking curiosity is that it shifts the balance of attention. Instead of focusing on why they haven't replied or whether they are losing interest, you redirect their focus onto you. This redirection is subtle but powerful. It taps into their natural desire to uncover the unknown. When you present them with just enough information to intrigue them, but not enough to satisfy their curiosity, you create a gap, a psychological need that they feel compelled to fill. This is the same principle used in storytelling, marketing, and even mystery novels. People want to resolve open loops. By leaving a hint of mystery in your message, you effectively invite them to close that loop. Another way to spark curiosity is by leveraging their interests, emotions, or past conversations. If you know what excites or intrigues them, you can tailor your message to align with those interests. For example, if they are passionate about a particular topic, you could say something like, I came across something that reminded me of you. It's fascinating. This not only piques their curiosity, but also flatters them by showing that you've been thinking about them. The personal touch makes it harder for them to ignore the message, as it feels uniquely relevant to them. Timing also plays a critical role in creating curiosity. A well-timed message can catch them off guard, making it more likely to grab their attention. For example, sending a message when they least expect it, such as during a quiet time of the day or after a period of silence, can amplify its impact. The element of surprise adds another layer to the curiosity, as they start wondering why you chose that particular moment to reach out. Curiosity can also be sparked through indirect communication. Instead of addressing them directly, you might post something on social media or share an update that is vague but intriguing. This approach works because it allows them to observe from a distance, making them feel as though they are uncovering a secret. For instance, a cryptic post like, today was unexpected in the best way, or sometimes silence speaks louder than words, can lead them to wonder if it's about them or what it could possibly mean. The more they think about it, the more their curiosity grows. It's important to balance curiosity with authenticity. While the goal is to draw their attention, it should never feel forced or manipulative. The best way to spark curiosity is to genuinely have something interesting to say or share. This ensures that when they do engage, the interaction feels meaningful and not like a ploy. Authenticity adds depth to the curiosity, making the eventual conversation more satisfying for both parties. The psychological aspect of curiosity is deeply rooted in the brain's reward system. When people seek out answers, their brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. This is why curiosity feels so compelling. It's not just a mental experience, but also a physical one. By triggering their curiosity, you are essentially activating this reward system, making it almost irresistible for them to ignore your message or presence. Sparking curiosity also conveys a sense of confidence. It shows that you are secure enough to leave things open-ended, trusting that they will come to you out of interest rather than obligation. This confidence is attractive in itself. It suggests that you don't feel the need to over-explain or chase after them, which can be a refreshing change from the usual dynamics of communication. It positions you as someone who values their own time and energy, making your presence all the more intriguing. Curiosity doesn't always have to be created through words. Sometimes it's about your actions or lack thereof. For instance, if they expect you to behave a certain way and you don't, this unexpected behavior can curiosity. If they are used to you following up when they don't reply and you suddenly stop doing so, they will naturally start to wonder why. This shift in behavior catches them off guard, prompting them to reevaluate their assumptions about you. This subtle disruption in their expectations can be enough to reignite their interest. The art of sparking curiosity lies in finding the perfect balance between revealing and withholding. If you reveal too much, there's no mystery left to uncover. If you withhold too much, they might lose interest altogether. Striking this balance requires intuition and an understanding of the other person's personality and preferences. It's about giving them just enough to keep them intrigued while leaving them wanting more. Silence is a language of its own, one that often speaks louder than words. It holds a power that can be both commanding and transformative, particularly in situations where emotions are running high or misunderstandings have taken root. When someone doesn't reply to your messages, silence can become an effective tool to assert your presence without having to chase after their attention. It is a demonstration of emotional strength, self-respect, and control, qualities that are not only admirable but also difficult to ignore. In the digital age, where instant responses are the norm and people expect immediate gratification, silence stands out. It disrupts the flow of constant communication and forces the other person to pause and take notice. When you choose silence over incessant messaging, you are sending a clear signal you value your own time and peace over the validation of their response. This shift in dynamics can create a ripple effect in their perception. They begin to wonder why you haven't followed up, why you aren't reacting as they might expect, and whether they have misjudged your level of interest or availability. This uncertainty often leads them to re-engage, driven by their own curiosity or a sudden realization of your worth. Silence is not just an absence of words, it is an active, deliberate choice. It is a way of reclaiming your energy and redirecting it inward rather than outward. When someone doesn't reply, it's easy to fall into a cycle of overthinking, self-doubt, or frustration. These emotions can cloud your judgment and lead to actions that may diminish your value in their eyes. Choosing silence, however, allows you to break free from this cycle. Instead of reacting impulsively, you create space for reflection and self-empowerment. You remind yourself that your worth is not determined by someone else's response or lack thereof. The psychological impact of silence on the other person can be profound. Humans are wired to seek patterns and closure in their interactions. When you suddenly stop responding or reaching out, it disrupts the expected pattern of behavior. This disruption triggers a sense of unease or curiosity in the other person. They begin to wonder what caused the change, whether they've done something wrong or if they've lost your attention or affection. In this way, your silence becomes a mirror that forces them to confront their own actions or inactions. It shifts the focus away from you and onto them, prompting them to reevaluate their approach. Silence also communicates confidence. It shows that you are not desperate for their attention or validation. This confidence is incredibly attractive because it conveys self-assuredness and emotional independence. People are naturally drawn to those who exude a sense of completeness and contentment. When you choose silence, you are essentially saying, I am enough as I am, and I don't need to chase after anyone to prove it. This silent assertion of self-worth can be far more powerful than any words you could say. Another aspect of silence is its ability to create boundaries. In relationships or interactions where communication feels one-sided, silence can serve as a reset button. It sends the message that you are not willing to overextend yourself or engage in a dynamic that doesn't feel balanced. By stepping back, you establish a clear boundary. You are available for meaningful and respectful communication, but not for being ignored or taken for granted. This boundary is crucial for maintaining your self-respect and ensuring that your interactions are rooted in mutual appreciation. Silence can also be a way of demonstrating emotional maturity. When someone doesn't reply, it's easy to let emotions take over and send a flurry of follow-up messages. However, this often leads to misunderstandings, miscommunications, or even pushing the other person further away. By choosing silence, you show that you can handle the situation with grace and composure. It's a way of saying, I trust the process and respect your space without needing to say it outright. This level of emotional intelligence can leave a lasting impression, as it sets you apart from others who may not exercise the same restraint. The power of silence is amplified by its ability to create anticipation. When you don't respond or reach out, the other person is left wondering when or if you will. This uncertainty can make your eventual communication feel more significant. It creates a sense of rarity and value around your words and presence. In a world where attention is often given freely and without thought, your silence elevates your worth. It makes your attention feel like a privilege rather than a given, compelling the other person to seek it out more intentionally. In some cases, silence can also be a test of the other person's intentions and priorities. If they truly value the connection, they will take notice of your silence and make an effort to bridge the gap. On the other hand, if they don't, their lack of response may reveal that their level of investment doesn't align with yours. Either way, your silence provides clarity. It allows you to see the situation for what it is without the noise of overcommunication or emotional reactions clouding your judgment. Silence is not about playing games or manipulating the other person. It's about recognizing your own value and refusing to overextend yourself in situations where your energy is not being reciprocated. It's a way of standing firm in your sense of self-worth and allowing others to meet you at your level rather than lowering yourself to chase after them. This mindset shift can be transformative not only in your interactions with others, but also in how you view yourself. When practiced with intention, silence becomes a form of empowerment. It allows you to reclaim control over your emotions and interactions, ensuring that you are not giving away your power unnecessarily. It creates a sense of mystery and allure, drawing others toward you while reinforcing your boundaries and self-respect. By embracing silence as a tool rather than a reaction, you position yourself as someone who values quality communication and meaningful connections over superficial exchanges. Choosing the right moment to reinitiate contact can be an art form, one that requires patience, awareness, and a keen understanding of human dynamics. Timing plays a pivotal role in communication, especially in situations where someone has failed to respond to you. Acting impulsively can often backfire, as it may come across as needy or desperate. Instead, a calculated approach that considers the rhythm of the interaction and the emotional context can have a far greater impact. Waiting before sending a follow-up message is not merely a strategy, but a statement, a declaration of your self-assuredness and your refusal to be rushed into action by the silence of others. The act of waiting allows you to reclaim control over the situation. When someone doesn't reply, the natural reaction might be to reach out again in an attempt to gain their attention or to clarify any misunderstanding. However, this approach often has the opposite effect, pushing the other person further away or reinforcing a dynamic in which you are seen as the one who chases. Waiting, on the other hand, shifts the power dynamic. By not immediately following up, you convey that their silence does not dictate your actions or emotions. This subtle yet powerful stance sets a tone of respect for yourself and for the boundaries of the other person. In the pause created by waiting, you grant both yourself and the other person the gift of time. Time to reflect, to cool down, or to miss your presence. People often don't realize the value of something until they experience its absence. Your silence, coupled with your decision to wait, creates a vacuum that allows them to confront their own feelings and priorities. In many cases, this absence can be more impactful than any words you could have sent. It's in the stillness that they begin to wonder about your thoughts, your emotions, and your next move. This curiosity, born out of your deliberate patience, can be a powerful motivator for them to re-engage. Waiting also gives you the opportunity to assess the situation objectively. Emotions can cloud judgment, leading you to act out of frustration, anxiety, or insecurity. By stepping back and allowing time to pass, you gain clarity. You can evaluate the nature of the relationship, the importance of the interaction, and the possible reasons for their silence. Perhaps they are genuinely busy or dealing with their own challenges. Perhaps their lack of response reveals a lack of interest or investment. Whatever the case, waiting provides the space to view the situation with a clearer, more balanced perspective. Moreover, waiting before sending another message demonstrates a level of emotional intelligence that sets you apart. It shows that you are not driven solely by impulse or emotion, but by thoughtful consideration of the dynamics at play. This composure is a sign of maturity and confidence, qualities that are universally respected and admired. When you reinitiate contact after a pause, it is seen not as an act of desperation, but as a measured, intentional decision. This distinction can make all the difference in how your message is received and how you are perceived. There is also a psychological aspect to waiting that works in your favor. When someone receives a message and doesn't reply, they may expect you to follow up immediately. This expectation is often rooted in the patterns of instant communication that dominate modern interactions. By breaking this pattern and waiting instead, you disrupt their assumptions. They begin to wonder why you haven't reached out again, whether you've lost interest or whether something has changed. This shift in their perception creates a sense of intrigue and anticipation, drawing their attention back to you. Waiting also aligns with the principle of self-respect. It is a way of honoring your time and energy rather than giving them away too freely. When you choose to wait, you are effectively saying, "I am worth the effort of a thoughtful response." This mindset not only strengthens your sense of self-worth, but also sets a standard for how you expect to be treated. It communicates that you value meaningful communication and that you are not willing to settle for less. The power of waiting lies in its subtlety. It is not about playing games or manipulating the other person, but about creating a space in which genuine connection can flourish. By exercising patience, you allow the natural flow of communication to unfold without forcing it. This approach is particularly effective in fostering respect and understanding, as it demonstrates that you are not rushing to fill the silence, but are instead allowing it to serve its purpose. Timing your follow-up message also allows you to craft it more thoughtfully. After a period of waiting, you are in a better position to choose your words carefully and convey your message effectively. The tone, content, and timing of your message all contribute to how it is received. A well-timed message sent after a deliberate pause carries more weight and significance than one sent in the heat of the moment. It shows that you have taken the time to think and that you are approaching the interaction with intention and care. Waiting is also a way of testing the strength and authenticity of the connection. If the other person values the relationship, they are more likely to notice your absence and make an effort to re-establish contact. On the other hand, if their silence continues despite your patience, it may be a sign that their level of investment does not match yours. In this way, waiting becomes a tool for discernment, helping you to prioritize relationships that are truly meaningful and reciprocal. The decision to wait is not always easy, especially in a world that prioritizes immediacy and instant gratification. It requires discipline, confidence, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. However, the rewards of waiting often outweigh the challenges. It allows you to approach the situation from a place of strength and self-assurance rather than from a place of need or insecurity. It creates a dynamic in which your actions are driven by intention rather than reaction. And most importantly, it reinforces the principle that your worth is not determined by someone else's response, but by your own sense of self-respect and value. Crafting a follow-up message that strikes the perfect balance between intrigue and subtlety is an art form that requires both thoughtfulness and restraint. When someone has failed to respond, your choice of words can either draw them closer or push them further away. The key is to create a message that piques their curiosity, engages their attention, and compels them to respond not out of obligation, but out of genuine interest. Achieving this requires a deliberate approach, as each word and phrase plays a vital role in shaping the tone and impact of your communication. A well-crafted message doesn't merely ask for attention, it invites curiosity. It should evoke questions in the mind of the recipient, sparking their desire to learn more or engage further. This can be achieved through the use of subtle hints, open-ended statements, or lighthearted humor that leaves room for interpretation. For instance, instead of sending a message that bluntly inquires about their lack of response, you might say something that playfully acknowledges the silence while leaving the door open for engagement. The aim is to create a moment of pause in their day, an instant where they stop and think, what do they mean by that? This pause can be enough to reignite the conversation. One of the most effective ways to accomplish this is by tapping into shared experiences or inside jokes. Referencing a moment, topic, or idea that is unique to your relationship with a person adds a layer of personal connection to the message. It shows that you have paid attention to the details of your interactions, making the communication feel more meaningful. A simple reference to something only the two of you would understand can have a profound effect, as it reminds them of the bond you share and creates a sense of exclusivity. This personal touch can make your message stand out among the countless others they might receive. Another important aspect of crafting an intriguing message is to avoid over-explaining or overanalyzing. When a message is too detailed or lengthy, it can come across as overwhelming or even desperate. The beauty of subtlety lies in its ability to say more with less. A brief, well-placed comment or question can carry far more weight than a lengthy explanation. For example, a simple, "I just remembered something funny about our last conversation," can be far more engaging than a paragraph outlining the memory in detail. The goal is to spark their interest without giving away too much, allowing their curiosity to fill in the blanks. The tone of your message is equally crucial. It should convey confidence and lightheartedness, steering clear of any sense of frustration or neediness. When someone hasn't responded, it's easy to let emotions like impatience or insecurity creep into your words. However, these emotions are often counterproductive, as they can put pressure on the recipient or make them feel guilty. Instead, adopt a tone that is casual, upbeat, and unbothered. This not only makes the message more pleasant to receive, but also communicates that you are secure enough in yourself not to take their silence personally. Timing also plays a significant role in the effectiveness of your follow-up message. Sending it too soon can make you appear overly eager, while waiting too long might give the impression that you've lost interest. The ideal timing strikes a balance long enough to show that you are not anxiously awaiting their response, but soon enough that the conversation thread remains relevant. This timing creates a sense of anticipation, as the recipient has had time to notice your absence but hasn't completely forgotten the context of your previous interaction. In crafting your message, it's important to focus on quality over quantity. A single, carefully chosen sentence can often achieve what an entire paragraph cannot. Pay attention to the words you use, ensuring that each one contributes to the overall tone and impact of the message. Avoid generic phrases that could apply to anyone. Instead, opt for language that reflects your unique personality and perspective. This makes the message feel more authentic and relatable, increasing the likelihood of a positive response. Humor can also be a powerful tool in creating an intriguing message. A well-timed joke or playful comment can break the ice and create a sense of ease, making it more likely that the recipient will want to re-engage. However, humor should be used sparingly and appropriately, taking into account the context of the relationship and the situation. A lighthearted approach works best when it aligns with your natural communication style and the dynamics of your interaction with the other person. Another strategy to consider is the use of questions that invite participation. Open-ended questions are particularly effective, as they encourage the recipient to share their thoughts or experiences. For example, instead of asking, "Did you see my last message?" you might ask something like, "What's your take on this idea?" or "Have you ever thought about this?" These types of questions shift the focus away from their lack of response and toward a topic of mutual interest, making the conversation feel less like a chore and more like an opportunity for connection. While subtlety and intrigue are important, it's equally important to remain true to yourself in your communication. Authenticity is key to building trust and maintaining meaningful relationships. When crafting your message, let your genuine personality shine through. Don't try to adopt a tone or style that feels unnatural, as this can come across as insincere. Instead, focus on expressing yourself in a way that feels comfortable and true to who you are. This authenticity will resonate with the recipient and create a foundation for deeper connection. Finally, it's worth noting that a follow-up message should never be about seeking validation or approval. Instead, it should be an extension of your confidence and self-respect. By crafting a message that is intriguing, subtle, and thoughtfully timed, you demonstrate that you value meaningful communication and are willing to invest the effort to maintain it. At the same time, you show that you are not defined by someone else's response or lack thereof. This balance of effort and detachment is what makes your message not only compelling, but also a reflection of your inner strength and assurance.